Before we dive into the deep soil of medieval innovation, I want to invite you to subscribe to the Global War Archive. This is the place where history isn't just a story, it's a manual. If you're serious about understanding the roots of human ingenuity, you'll want to be part of this journey. Today we're going to explore something that doesn't just sit in dusty archives: medieval bioengineering. These were not just clever tricks of the past. They were systems of survival, of feeding societies through famine, war, and unpredictable seasons. And the lessons embedded in these methods could help us even today. Medieval bioengineering isn't about the fantastical or the mythical. It's the very real science and practice of manipulating plants, animals, and soil to maximize food production. In a time before synthetic fertilizers, mechanized tractors, or industrial greenhouses, medieval farmers had to innovate with what they had. Their techniques were sophisticated, adaptable, and often surprisingly sustainable. Understanding them allows us to rethink how we grow food, even in modern urban gardens or survivalist homesteads. How medieval farmers reshaped the land to feed entire populations. Medieval Europe might seem like a patchwork of feudal estates and small villages, but underneath that apparent simplicity was a highly organized agricultural system. One of the most influential practices was the three-field system. Rather than leaving land fallow for an entire year, farmers rotated crops systematically. One field grew grains, another legumes, and the third lay fallow or grew cover crops to restore fertility. This wasn't just clever, it was bioengineering at its most practical. Legumes, for example, naturally fixed nitrogen in the soil, which means medieval farmers were effectively fertilizing the land without synthetic chemicals. For modern application, anyone with a backyard or small plot can adopt this rotation system. Plant peas or beans after a season of heavy grains, like wheat or barley. Then let another patch of land rest or grow a green manure crop. Over a few years, you'll notice your soil's fertility improves and your harvests become more resilient. The step-by-step logic here is exactly what medieval farmers perfected over generations, and it works as well now as it did 700 years ago. Another remarkable aspect of medieval agriculture was, honestly, the strategic use of water. Monastic communities in particular really mastered the art of water management. They dug canals, built dams, and designed fish ponds that doubled as irrigation networks. These systems weren't merely for convenience, they were bioengineered ecosystems. Fish ponds provided protein for monks and villagers, while their overflow nourished nearby crops, maintaining a cycle of fertility. For modern survivalists, small-scale versions of this approach are, highly applicable. Construct a pond or even a simple water catchment system and use the runoff to irrigate vegetable beds. You're creating a micro-ecosystem, just like medieval farmers, where every element serves multiple purposes. The principle remains: efficient water use plus natural nutrient cycling equals sustainable yields. The seeds that medieval farmers planted were, well, not random. Over centuries, peasants and landowners selected varieties that could survive local climates, resist pests, and produce reliable yields. In a sense, they were early genetic engineers. They saved seeds from the best-performing plants, crossbred varieties, and experimented with new combinations. The result was a system of agricultural bioengineering rooted in observation, experimentation, and adaptation. You can try this yourself with modern heirloom seeds. Save seeds from the strongest, most resilient plants each season. By doing this year after year, you'll cultivate varieties adapted to your local conditions, mirroring the methods that sustained medieval populations through harsh winters and unpredictable summers. This isn't just gardening, it's learning to think like a medieval agronomist, developing resilience through careful selection and cultivation. So, let's talk about how medieval livestock practices supported sustainable food systems. Livestock in the Middle Ages wasn't just for meat. Animals were, really integrated into the broader agricultural ecosystem. Pigs were allowed to forage in forests, chickens foraged in orchards, and cows rotated through fields, naturally fertilizing the land. Manure wasn't waste. It was a crucial input for soil fertility. This interdependence between crops and animals is actually the foundation of what modern permaculturists call closed-loop farming. To apply this knowledge today, even on a small scale, you can integrate chickens into a vegetable garden or allow goats to clear invasive plants while fertilizing the soil. You're creating a system where plants and animals benefit each other, exactly as medieval farmers did. Why do these ancient techniques matter for the future? Well, when we examine medieval bioengineering, it becomes clear that survival, efficiency, and sustainability were not modern concerns, they were necessities. The techniques developed then are, in fact, a blueprint for tackling modern challenges like climate change, soil degradation, and food insecurity. By studying how medieval farmers rotated fields, engineered waterways, selected resilient seeds, and integrated livestock, we uncover strategies that can be adapted to contemporary urban farms, backyard gardens, and emergency food systems. History is often presented as a narrative of kings and battles, but the real innovation was happening in the fields and pastures. The lessons of medieval bioengineering are both timeless and practical, giving us actionable ways to feed ourselves and build resilience for the future. If you found this deep dive into medieval ingenuity valuable, make sure to subscribe to the Global War Archive. Share this with fellow history enthusiasts, urban gardeners, and survivalists who would appreciate understanding the systems that fed civilizations centuries ago. The past isn't just something we read about, it's a toolkit for the future, and together we're unlocking it, one technique at a time.